My friend, I am so excited that you are here. Welcome to this podcast episode. I've been thrilled with your responses to the episodes, what's helping you, what's lighting you up and inspiring you on your journey. And that's what this is all about. So keep sharing, keep sending to your friends, keep spreading the love. Guys, are you ready to go on a little road trip with me today? In this episode today, we are diving into a topic that's incredibly important for living a fulfilled and intentional life. I want that for you. Are you the driver in your life, or have you just been being the passenger? I want you for a minute to imagine your life as a journey on this road trip. Our family loves road trips, so I can see this so clearly as I imagine. But there are winding roads, unexpected detours, and even beautiful destinations along the way. But I want you to ask this. The big question is, who's behind the wheel? Are you steering your life in the direction that you want to go, or are you just sitting in the passenger seat, letting someone else or something else decide your destination? So get ready today because we're exploring what it means to take the driver's seat in your life and how you can shift from being a passive passenger to an active driver. Let's go. Okay, in my life, I will say this. Again, like I said, our family loves road trips. And I actually love being, I guess, quote unquote, what's called a passenger princess. When I'm with my husband, that is. Our whole family thrives on travel. And with 8 of us in our house, a cabin in the mountains, road trips have become a regular thing in our lives. I mean, for years, we even used to do this thing called the Blue Summer Tour, and we would pack up the car and go all over the country 4 weeks at a time. We even did a winter tour once. But anyway, all of that to say, it's a regular thing in our life. We're pretty well versed in what to do, what to pack, how to load up the car, and all of our roles on the journey. And I like to Chris breaks when he needs it and can completely take control of the driver's seat. But otherwise, I'll play passenger princess all day long. I'll eat my snacks. I'll help take care of the kids. I'll read a book. I'll write. I'll take a nap. There's trust there. There's trust that I know where we're going and that he'll get us there. But with others, I like to be in the driver's seat. I like to have control knowing that I can get us to our destination. And I want you to think about that in life for a minute. There are times in our lives, times in my life where my trip has been cut short, where detours have happened or sudden changes in direction have happened. And sometimes that's from outside forces, like a loss a couple of years ago. And I think a lot of us have. Our family went through a season of so many big family and friend losses, all in a matter of months. We also have had losses that I carried with me, losses in my own body where I couldn't carry our child to birth. There have been changes in the direction based on outside forces at times when a contract has been canceled or the whole world shifted. We've all experienced these changes in multiple ways, in different ways. But then there have been changes in my life or times in my life where I actively made changes to my path, times that I knew I wasn't where I want to be. And it's time for me to have the courage to take the steps needed for that change. Times that I decided, okay, it's time to take control. I'm going to get into the driver's seat and pivot. I'm going to change the direction that I'm headed. And where we are now in life is a culmination of the many pit stops, the detours, the roadblocks, the quick changes in direction that we've had on this road of life. Just a little backstory in it. For example, in my own life, I was a spokesmodel for many, many, many years, up until not very long ago for a major automotive brand, which is partly responsible for helping me be able to stand on a platform or stand on a stage and talk. I, at one time, had started a line of clothing, and I planned and held trunk shows. I put together runway shows for the launches. And that was kind of ignited by my passion for comfortable fashion and the organization to put it all together. It was fun. My husband and I, for a while, we opened and we ran a coffee shop together. And that's kind of where I learned how much I love coffee and also the feel of it, chatting with others over a warm cup. We both pursued and received our life coaching certification. And that was fueled by our desire to help others see and reach their own best life, just like a lot like this podcast. I partnered with Oprah Magazine for a season as part of her hand-selected insiders because of that passion for helping others. We have and are raising 6 kids while I share about all things life and travel and food and home on our website, blog, and social media. I've even written a couple of books while in the trenches of early motherhood to support other expecting and new moms. And now I'm a podcast host. That's what you see me as right now. But my first takeaway today, I have a couple for you today. I want you to hear this. I want you to grasp the concept of pivoting, of this kind of change. It's not always about fixing or changing something that's wrong. It's about opportunity. All of these things that I mentioned in my life aren't just to share. I mean, there's so many things that make us who we are. Those are just a few of the things that I've been able to accomplish, a few of the things that make me who I am today. And then you can see, okay, there are some big pivots and big changes. I'm not the same person I was there, but they've all led me to who I am now. They've all played a part in who this person is that sits before you, who this person is that's now a podcast host for Radiant Womanhood. And a lot of times that pivot is about opportunity. It's an opportunity to tap into your desires, to lean into the things that make you curious or make you feel alive. So think about this for a minute. Have you ever been on a trip and your map says that it's found a better route or an alternate route for you to take? Maybe it was because of an accident or a detour ahead. Maybe at the time it just found a faster path based on traffic. And in that moment, you have to decide, is it time for me to pivot? Is it time to accept or make this change? And even in saying that, well, I love what I'm doing right now, I know at some point there will come a time in my life for another pivot, for another change. And that's okay. Actually, it is a great thing because from this point on in your life, know that with every change, with every pivot, whether it's decisions that you make yourself to change your route ahead or things coming in from the outside that cause you to detour, that cause you to change. And we'll talk more about that in a minute. But know this, that you are never starting from zero. You're never starting from scratch. You're never starting right from the starting line. Everything on the road trip of your life up until this point has been experience. It's been your journey of growth. Every pivot and every change in your career and in your work path, every change in your family and home path, all of these things that you've experienced are part of your journey of growth. And it's important to realize this, that you have the power to create a life that you love, that you, my friend, you are capable of making your decisions and your choices moving forward. You are capable of dreaming big and doing the work to make it happen. You are capable of being in the driver's seat on this road trip of your life. And being the driver or in the driver's seat of your life means taking control of your decisions or responsibility of your decisions, of your actions. And ultimately, that even leads to your destiny as it plays out. It means being proactive rather than reactive. So I'm going to bring up 4 things, a few signs real quick. How do we identify if we're in the driver's seat or if we've become passive passengers? Here are a few signs that you might be in the passenger seat. One is a lack of goals and direction. Maybe you find yourself drifting from one thing to another without a clear sense of purpose, wondering, what is my purpose? Maybe you're feeling stuck. You feel like you're in a rut, not making any progress in your personal or professional lives. You ready for this? This is a big one. Blaming others. Maybe you often find yourself blaming circumstances or other people for your situation. That's a sign that you're in the passenger seat, that you're not taking control of this car. And another one is fear of change. You're afraid to take risks or step out of your comfort zone, even when you're not happy where you are. We've talked about this before in a few different episodes about fear and about comfort. And sometimes being in that comfort zone it doesn't mean that you're happy where you are. You're just trying to avoid pain or avoid discomfort. But friend, I don't want you stuck in that place. As you take stock and decide to transition, if any of those things felt like, yep, that's me. I'm blaming others for where I'm at. I'm afraid to step out of my comfort zone. I am feeling stuck in this detour that I've been on. I feel like these things have happened and now I'm just stuck here, or I just have a lack of direction or a lack of goals. I feel like I'm moving, but I'm not actually going anywhere. If you now are saying, okay, it is time for me to decide to transition from being a passive passenger to an active driver, remember, I'm going to say it again. You're not starting over or from zero. You're starting from a place of experience. So that experience is both the good and the bad, but you can use all of those experiences to reimagine the next part of your journey. I want you to walk away from this episode knowing that you have the power to take the wheel, to pivot, and to make the change in direction. We just recently returned home from a trip to see my nephew graduate from college, and it reminded me of how important it is to celebrate these milestones along the way, to celebrate when we've set our goal or our intention and then did the work to get there. And in particular for him, I remember when he was barely 2 years old, just walking not too long, and I wanted him to walk down the aisle at our wedding. No one was sure what he would do or if he could do it. But he knew this. My goal is to just get to Uncle Chris at the end. He had a clear path. We helped him have a clear path, a map to his destination. This is the goal. Just get to Uncle Chris. You guys, he did it. He did fantastic. And years later, we got to watch him walk down another aisle with a huge milestone. I mean, I think at age 8 or maybe even younger, he grew passion for airplanes and he has pursued it, mapped out this journey. And then we got to take a little road trip to celebrate with him as he's about to put on his captain's wings and take control of a whole different kind of steering wheel, which in an airplane really isn't a wheel at all, but you get the metaphor. And it's exciting to see that yes, he mapped out this path, mapped out this journey, and then we get to celebrate him together. And even with all of the years of schooling now behind him, all of the training that he's been going through, all of the experience that he's already had, he's still staring at a wide open road, a wide open opportunity before him. But right, isn't that how we feel at graduations? My own daughter is getting ready to graduate from high school. And that's how it feels. It's like, we've worked so hard. We've done all this. We've put in the work. She's put in the work. And now she's about ready to walk down this aisle. And that's how we feel with graduations. You get to look ahead, all this possibility, all of this opportunity before you. But I want to ask this. Why can't we see that for our own lives? Why do we feel like we have to be stuck in the place that we're in? Why do we feel sometimes that we have to accept this detour as our destination? If you want to change, either step into your power when things are good, or you want to see the road ahead as a wide open opportunity because you're in a place of, okay, I am feeling the need to pivot, then this is for you. I want you to imagine a brand new possibility for your life. I want you to see yourself as walking down that aisle, almost like a graduate, where we put this wide open space before them. I want you to look out the front window of your life like a car and seeing this wide open road before you. If you can start with saying, I want the next chapter of my life to be great. I want the next part of my journey to be amazing. Then you can start to think about what kind of a map do I need in order to chart a course to make this a possibility, or to make this possibility that I see for my life a reality. I want your life to be such a fulfilling, exciting, joy, and peace-filled road trip, like more than you can imagine. Every year of your life, of this journey, it's another mile marker along the way. So friend, what mile marker are you at? I just hit mile marker 40 in my own life. And the beauty in realizing that and seeing that, and even kind of like I said, looking at graduations as seeing like, all of this experience, all of this training, all of this stuff that I was doing is behind me. And yet there's so much more open road ahead. Look at your life that way. What mile marker are you at? Mine just shows I have 40 mile markers of road behind me, of all of this experience behind me. And yet there is so much more open road ahead. So many open miles of opportunity, of pivots when it's not quite right, of experiences, of me taking responsibility of charting my course, of where that open road ahead is going to lead me. That is how we step into our power. That is how we step into control, into a proactive role where you make things happen instead of waiting for them to happen to you. Active means doing something, which, side note, we just talked about the importance of taking messy action, which is a principle that will change your life. And I will link that episode in the show notes before. I need you to go listen to that, my friends. But active means doing something. And the prefix pro means before. So if you are proactive, you are ready before something happens. Instead of being reactive or waiting for things to unfold before responding, you are taking action, even if it's a little messy. What's exciting about this is that you get to choose. You get to control how fast you go, how fast you're driving in the car. Have you ever been in the car with someone and it could go either way? Either they are the slowest driver that you've ever been with, and you're looking at your watch like, are we ever going to get to our destination? Or maybe they're going a little too fast for your liking, and this doesn't feel safe. When you are the driver, you get to control how fast you go. You get to choose which twists and which turns that you take. You get to decide that when you're in the middle of an intense downpouring of a storm in your life, to take a moment to pull over, to pause, and to reflect. For one, if you're feeling that right now, if you're feeling like I am in the storm of my life, everything that can happen has happened, everything that can fall from the sky is falling. But here's one thing we know. We know that the rain will end. We know that this storm will pass. And then think about it this way. Have you ever been lost before or you weren't sure which way to go? Does driving around lost help? That's honestly, we have really good road trips as a family, but where the tension in our road trips or our relationship as we're on a road trip stems from is when we aren't sure which way to go, but we're barreling down the road and we have to make last minute decisions without the proper information. So that's what I want you to remember today. If you are feeling that storm, the feelings of being lost, take a moment to pull over, to pause, to breathe, and to reassess. Pull over to figure out where you are. Consult the map. And then figure out where to go next. Thinking of your life this way, it's a mental exercise. Thinking of your life in terms of this road trip or this driving metaphor is a mental practice that you can do when a storm comes or when you feel lost. Maybe you felt a loss in your life through a breakup, a death, a loss of a job. Maybe you've hit a major detour that takes you off the route that you thought you were headed. Take a moment to hit the pause button, to pull over so you can feel it, grieve it, experience it, and then you can figure out where you are and decide where it is you need to go next. But you cannot stay in that place. The detour is not your destination. Remember that the storm will pass, but you get to choose what you do with your next step. You get to choose whether you're staying stuck there or not. But friends, move. If you're stuck in the past, or you're spending your time grieving the past, if you're spending your time looking in the rear view mirror, wishing things were different, stop. You're looking in the wrong direction. Living in the past hurts or in the past failures won't take you forward. You're not going backwards. That's not for you. But you can't drive or move forward if you're always staring in the mirror behind you. Becoming the driver of your life doesn't mean that you won't face those challenges or detours or even the temptations to keep going back to the past. But it's about having the courage to navigate them with confidence and the resilience to then keep moving forward, of knowing when to take the pause, of when to take the pit stop and pull over and reassess, and when to keep going forward. But how? That might be where you're feeling right now. Okay, I hear what you're saying, and I can see it as a metaphor, and I can see on the road, but in my life right now, how do I take the wheel and become the driver? Are you ready to transition from becoming that passive passenger to an active driver? Here's how we start. And this is really what I'm going to leave you with today, because We could go a lot further and a lot deeper, but I want you to hear this and I want you to start here. We start by defining what you want in the different areas of your life. This is why even the episode on vision board is so important to see it. Your career, your relationships, your personal growth, your health, your spirituality, clear goals give you a roadmap to follow. They help you to create that clear vision so you can write it down, so you can run with it, so you can be the driver in this road trip of your life. When you're looking ahead to something exciting in the future, when you've set a goal that lights you up and gets you excited, you move through life differently. And I'm going to take you down to a little bit of research for a minute here. But think about this. First, research shows that planning a vacation, so when we set out to plan a vacation, maybe take a road trip, take our family on this fun trip somewhere, you get a couple different boosts. One boost happens when you're planning it, the excitement around it, and the other happens is when you're there or when you start the trip. So think about that in your life. When you plan an exciting road trip ahead for your future, when you're on this drive and you have an exciting destination, there's excitement in making it happen, excitement in the countdown, and even the day-to-day demands. Because here's what I know. Just because we set a goal, it doesn't mean life stops. It doesn't mean that there aren't diapers to change or messes that happen or the dog that needs to be walked or groceries to be bought or all of these things, right? You still have the day-to-day demands on your life, but it feels like they don't get to you as much because maybe you know you have to get some extra work done ahead of time because I have this exciting trip planned ahead. But guess what? You bust through it, no problem. If you're like me, you run through and you get laundry done, you get the house cleaned up quickly because you know what's ahead. I'm going to go on this trip. I don't want to come home to a messy house. So all of this stuff, this day-to-day stuff, bam, 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 I'm getting it done and I'm excited because this future plan, this thing that I know that's ahead and thinking about it boosts your mood. It does. It gets you excited. And all of this is because you've put something into your future, an intention into your future that gets you excited. So I'm going to tell you about a study she's an author called Laura Vanderkam, and she was writing this book, and she actually wrote a whole article because she was doing all this studying for her book. The article is called "There's a Better Way to Reclaim Your Time Than Quiet Quitting." And I want to relate quiet quitting to being stuck in this detour, to pulling over in the storm and then just staying in that place. But she talks about the benefits of adding something exciting to your life. And I know when you are feeling exhausted and overwhelmed and overscheduled, and it feels like something needs to give, is taking your foot off the gas the answer? And she would argue that it isn't. Let me tell you why. Let me tell you about this study that she did. She gathered a group of participants, a large group, and she gave them action items. And it was adding an action or adding an activity, adding something into their life. But at the beginning, this is what some of our participants said, the quotes that they said. Life feels very chaotic with so many different balls in the air. My work to-do list is never ending. Does that feel like you? How about this one? It's like I need a few more hours each day just in order to have enough time to manage family and life. So think about all that for a minute with all of these things that her participants were saying. And I'm sure that you can relate to some of those because I feel like I can as well. I think all of us can. But instead of asking them to scale things back or to draw stricter boundaries or to take time off or pulling away from work or different things, that's terminology behind quiet quitting, she taught what's called additive strategies, to choose activities that require action over being passive and adding them in to their already busy life. So, like instead of vegging out to a show, this is just a little one, choose instead to read a novel, something that requires a little more action. Or even in an over-scheduled life, add in a physical activity. She asked them to plan for fun little adventures, to plan for and figure out adding in something that you enjoy, even if it doesn't feel like there's room for it. But it couldn't be work-related. Instead of doing less, she wanted them to add in something that brings joy. What about that? Think about that on this road trip life of like this journey of our life in these terms of a road trip. Add in something that you enjoy. Add in a destination that brings you joy. So for some of our participants, it was something like join a softball team, sign up. Maybe for you, it's signing up for a class that you've been wanting to take, join the church choir, something added that brings joy. That's an activity in your life. So even when your schedule feels like this giant, massive puzzle that I don't even know how it all goes together, and you don't think you can add something else in, you can, because that forces you to take control of the wheel and to figure out your schedule. And it also gives you something to look forward to. And guess what? It works. Going back to the study, the participants in the study showed that as a result, their time felt more abundant. Friends, the same amount of time of every day, the same hours that are full, the same time that all of us have, it felt more abundant by adding in an activity that brought joy. Participants also showed after the project from beginning to end that the satisfaction with how they spent their time began to rise. They even reported making more progress at work, having more enjoyable time with their family, because their increased energy and increased engagement spilled over into all areas of life. And that's why it's so important to think about where it is you're going, to think about what lights me up. What is something that I've maybe left to the wayside because things have been so full and so busy and overwhelming lately. And maybe I lost sight of where we're going. And now I've been a passenger, letting life happen, letting someone else take the wheel, and lost sight of that goal or that vision of what made me excited and lit me up. Set those goals. Set a vision. Your relationship to time and your relationship to the mile marker that you're on in life, it has to do with the stories that you tell yourself. So when you add something in, when you set a goal that excites you, it helps you to take control of the wheel because you get to create and you get to adjust your schedule to make it happen. And I think sometimes we even underestimate how quickly we can make adjustments in our lives. So that's what I want to say today. Just do it. Start taking action, imperfect, messy action. Start somewhere. Set a goal. I mean, maybe if you're in the storm and you need to take a moment to pause and to breathe and to see where I am and to reassess, and then make a goal and start taking action towards it because you are meant for more. You aren't meant to be stuck in a detour. You aren't meant to be broken down on the side of the road. You aren't meant to pour your energy into the past, into the rearview mirror, thinking it's not possible for me and leaning into the excuses or leaning into the fears. But you have the choice. You get to choose to map out your path and then take the steps to get there. And as we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with this thought. Remember that life is too short to be a passenger, to let it all happen to you. How long have you been thinking about starting something new? How long have you been thinking about building that business? How long have you been thinking about taking that class or getting that degree? When you decide to get into the driver's seat, when you decide to take that messy action, when you decide to add in goals that light you up, you're taking back your power to shape your dreams. You open up a whole new exciting journey in front of you. You get to be the person graduating that says, all of this opportunity is in front of me now. All of my experience, all those mile markers, all that work I've done, all the things good and bad are in my past now, and all this open road is before me. You are going forward, friend, into some of the best years, the best mile markers of your life.